The ardent dawn moved silently through the endless dark. Stars glimmered across the vast ocean of space, but for Captain Elias Vorn they no longer meant anything. He had spent half his life among them, fighting wars, exploring new systems, watching civilizations rise and fall. Somewhere along the way the beauty of it all had faded. He sat alone in his cabin, staring at the holographic window showing the distant world of Alaris 9. The planet shimmered like a blue gem, surrounded by silver clouds. It was the next stop for humanity, their chance to join the Stellar Concord, a council of advanced alien species that controlled most of the galaxy. It should have been exciting. It was exciting for most of the crew, but Elias had seen too much to feel wonder anymore. To him, the universe was full of empty promises and forgotten dreams. A soft chime broke the silence. "Captain," came a calm female voice through the comm. "We are arriving in orbit around Alaris 9. The Kareen delegation requests our presence at the Concord summit." "Understood, Lieutenant," Elias replied. He rubbed his tired eyes and stood up. His uniform was crisp, his metals polished, but inside he felt nothing. Duty was all that kept him moving. When he stepped onto the bridge, the crew stood at attention. "At ease," he said, walking to the command console. On the screen before him, Alaris 9 glowed with twin suns rising behind it. The world was home to the Kareen, one of the oldest species in the Concord, tall, elegant beings with crystalline skin that shimmered under light. Humanity's reputation among the aliens was complicated. The Kareen saw humans as wild and emotional, too passionate to be trusted with advanced knowledge. The purpose of this summit was to prove that humans had evolved, that they were ready to join the greater galactic family. Elias wasn't sure they were. Still, orders were orders. The shuttle descended through the glittering atmosphere. From above, the Kareen capital looked like a sea of light, crystal towers rising from golden plains, connected by energy bridges that pulsed with color. The air shimmered as if alive. Elias stepped out with his small delegation, 3 humans in black uniforms representing Earth. Waiting for them at the landing platform was a group of Kareen officials. They stood tall, their translucent bodies glowing faintly with inner light. At the center of the group stood one who was different. Her name was Seren. She was the youngest member of the Kareen delegation, chosen to study human behavior. Her glow was softer, gentler, and her eyes, pale blue and luminous, seemed to hold entire galaxies inside them. When Elias's gaze met hers, something inside him shifted. It was strange. He had faced alien warriors, cosmic storms, the death of comrades, but nothing had ever struck him like this. Her expression was calm yet curious. It was as if she could see through him, past the uniform and the titles, straight into the quiet emptiness within. "Welcome, Captain Elias Vorn of Earth," she said, her voice melodic, almost musical. "On behalf of the Kareen and the Stellar Concord, I greet you in peace." Elias nodded politely. "We come in peace and with respect." She tilted her head slightly, studying him. "Your people are known for their passion. I hope today that passion serves peace rather than pride." He almost smiled. "That's the plan." The summit hall was enormous, shaped from living crystal that bent light into beautiful patterns. Dozens of alien representatives sat around a circular platform, their forms shimmering, floating, or flickering depending on their species. The humans looked out of place, solid, dark, and fragile among beings of light and color. Elias presented Earth's progress, terraforming colonies, medical advances, peaceful diplomacy. But many alien leaders remained unimpressed. They whispered among themselves, doubtful that humanity could control its emotions. Then Seren spoke. "Perhaps emotion is not weakness," she said softly, her voice echoing across the chamber. "Perhaps it is the source of their strength." The hall fell silent. Even Elias looked at her in surprise. An elder Kareen turned toward her. "You defend them?" "I am only saying that logic alone cannot sustain a heart," Seren replied. "Maybe the universe needs both order and passion." Her glowing eyes met Elias's again. In that brief connection, something unspoken passed between them. A recognition, a spark that didn't belong in politics or diplomacy. After the meeting ended, Seren approached Elias privately. "Your people confuse my kind," she said, walking beside him through the crystal corridors. "You fight for dreams. You risk your lives for things that fade. Why?" Elias looked out at the twin suns setting beyond the glass. Because that's what makes life worth living. If everything lasted forever, it wouldn't mean anything. Seren stopped walking. The glow in her eyes deepened like starlight through water. I think I understand, she said softly. You value moments because they end. Elias nodded. Something like that. There was a pause. Then she smiled faintly, a small light blooming across her skin. You are very strange, Captain Vorn. I get that a lot. Over the next few days, they met often during the diplomatic sessions. Elias began to look forward to seeing her, how her voice carried calmness, how she asked questions no one else dared. She wasn't like the other Kareen who spoke in cold logic and perfect calculation. She was curious, open, and somehow human. He didn't tell anyone, but each time she entered the room, he felt the weight in his chest lighten. For the first time in years, he wasn't just doing his duty. He was alive. But not everyone approved of their growing connection. Late one evening, as Elias reviewed the day's reports, his first officer, Commander Lyra, entered his quarters. Captain, we've intercepted encrypted Kareen transmissions. There's unrest among their military. Some factions believe humanity's entry into the Concord would weaken them. Elias frowned. You think they'll try to stop the summit? I think they'll do more than that, she replied grimly. They may try to frame us. Start a conflict. Elias stared at the holographic planet rotating slowly in front of him. Keep this between us. No one moves without my order. When she left, Elias sat in silence. His instincts screamed that something was coming. And for reasons he couldn't explain, his first thought wasn't of Earth. It was of Seren. That night, he found her in the observatory, gazing up at the stars through the transparent dome. The twin suns had set and the sky of Alaris 9 glowed with ribbons of light. You should be resting, Elias said, stepping closer. So should you, she replied without turning. You humans are always tired, but you never stop. He chuckled softly. Maybe that's our problem. Finally, she faced him. Captain, there is talk among my people. Some want war. They fear what humans will become. I know, he said quietly. But you don't? No. Her voice trembled like light in water. When I look at you, I see something different. Your kind burns brighter because you know your time is short. You remind me that even light must fight to be seen. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The air between them felt alive, charged. Then Seren took a small step closer. Be careful, Elias Vorn. There are shadows moving behind this summit. I do not wish to see your flame extinguished. Elias nodded slowly. And I don't wish to see yours dim. Their eyes met once more, and though no words were spoken, something changed. It wasn't love, not yet, but the beginning of it. The kind that defies species, distance, and logic. When Elias returned to his quarters that night, he stood before the window and looked out at Alaris 9 shining below. For the first time in years, the stars didn't feel cold. He didn't know what was coming. He didn't know that soon. War would erupt, and he'd have to choose between duty and the one being who had made him feel human again. All he knew was that he had seen her once, and somehow, he already understood that nothing else could ever matter again. Red lights flashed across the bridge of the ardent dawn. Captain Elias Vorn stood at the center, eyes fixed on the main display. A massive explosion had just torn through the orbital station where the summit was taking place. Report, he shouted. Lieutenant Merrick turned from his console. Sir, the Kareen Defense Network detected a blast near the diplomatic ring. It looks like a human shuttle exploded. Elias's heart dropped. That's impossible. All our shuttles are accounted for. Not anymore, Merrick said grimly. Someone tampered with the registry. The Kareen think we attacked them. Elias clenched his fists. Get me a visual. The screen showed chaos above Alaris 9. Fire and debris floated through the blackness. Kareen patrol ships were already forming attack formations. The summit, the fragile piece, it was all falling apart. Then came the message. A stern Kareen voice echoed through the comms. Human vessel Ardent Dawn, stand down immediately. You are charged with aggression against the stellar Concord. Any resistance will be met with force. Elias froze. He could see how this would look. A human ship near an explosion. The evidence would be fabricated, but no one would wait for proof. And then a new transmission. Weak, distorted, but clear enough to chill him to the bone. This is Seren. Shuttle hit, losing power. Need help? Her shuttle? Elias whispered. She's out there. Marek nodded, pale. Yes, sir. She must have been caught in the blast. Elias didn't hesitate. Prep a rescue pod. I'm going. Sir, that's against direct orders from Earth Command, Lyra, his first officer, warned. If you launch now, they'll accuse you of interfering. You could start a real war. I don't care, Elias said, voice low and steady. She saved us once with her words. Now it's my turn. Lyra stepped closer. You'll be court-martialed. Elias met her eyes. Then I'll face it. But I'm not leaving her to die because someone wants a war. He turned and headed for the hangar. The crew didn't stop him. They knew their captain too well. Moments later, the rescue pod shot out from the ardent dawn and into the debris field. Sparks and smoke drifted past as he steered manually through the wreckage. His hands were steady, but his chest felt heavy. Seren, this is Elias, he said into the comm. Can you hear me? Only static. Then faintly, I hear you, oxygen low. Engine's gone. Hold on, he said. I'm almost there. Through the shattered hull of a shuttle, he saw a dim blue light flickering, her bioluminescent glow, faint but alive. Her body floated among the wreckage, tethered only by a thin line of energy. Elias maneuvered closer, suit pressurized, and stepped into the vacuum. He reached out, feeling the cold emptiness around him. She was motionless, her glow fading. For a moment he feared he was too late. Then her eyes flickered open. You came, she whispered weakly through her helmet's translator. Of course I did, Elias said. I wasn't going to let you drift away. He pulled her toward him and sealed her in the pod. As the air rushed back inside, he heard her breathing, shallow but steady. She looked up at him, her glow dim but beautiful. You broke your orders, Elias smiled faintly. I break them a lot. Back aboard the Ardent Dawn, the crew worked fast to stabilize her. Serene lay in the medical bay, her skin faintly lit by the soft hum of the machines. When she opened her eyes again, Elias was sitting beside her. Why did you risk it? She asked quietly. You could have lost everything. He leaned back, tired but calm. Because sometimes orders aren't enough. Sometimes you just have to do what feels right. Her gaze lingered on him. My people won't understand that. They will see you as reckless. Maybe, he said. But if I didn't do it, I wouldn't be able to live with myself. For a while, neither of them spoke. The ship trembled softly as it entered stealth mode, hiding from Kareen's sensors. Then Seren said, There's something you should know. The attack, it wasn't your people. Elias frowned. You're sure? Yes. Her eyes glowed brighter. I saw their codes. It was a Kareen military faction. They wanted to stop peace with humanity. They fear your kind's unpredictability. Elias sighed, anger flashing in his eyes. So they're trying to start a war? Yes, she said. And they will use me as proof that humans are dangerous. He leaned forward. Then we need to expose them. She hesitated. If I do that, I will be seen as a traitor. My life will be over. Elias looked at her, his voice soft but firm. If you don't, millions will die. For a long moment, she was silent. Then she nodded slowly. Then I'll do it. Over the next hours, they worked together to gather evidence from her ship's memory core. Data fragments, transmission logs, energy signatures, all proof that the explosion was staged by the Kareen extremists. As they pieced it together, Elias couldn't help but notice how focused she was, even when exhausted. Her glow shifted gently as she worked, casting soft light over the metal walls. You're remarkable, he said quietly. She looked up. Remarkable, he smiled. Back home, we'd say you're brave beyond reason. Her glow pulsed faintly like a heartbeat. Maybe I'm learning that from you. Their eyes met, and for a brief moment, everything else disappeared. The politics, the danger, the distance between species. Just two souls sharing a fragile space in a violent universe. Then the alarm blared again. Captain, Lyra's voice came through the comm. Kareen warships are on approach. They found us. Elias stood immediately. Get us out of here. But it was too late. The ship shook violently as plasma blasts hit the outer hull. They're not aiming to destroy us, Lyra shouted. They're trying to capture us. Elias turned to Seren. They know you're alive. She nodded, fear flickering in her glowing eyes. If they take me, the truth dies. Then they won't take you, Elias said. He led her through the corridors as the ship rocked from impact. Crew members scrambled to battle stations, shouting commands and sealing bulkheads. The Ardent Dawn was built for exploration, not war, but its crew was fiercely loyal. They reached the command deck just as the main screen lit up with the image of a Kareen admiral. Cold, crystal-skinned, eyes sharp as blades. "Captain Vorn," the alien said, "return the Kareen prisoner. Surrender your ship and your people may live." Elias stood tall. "She's not a prisoner. She's a truth-bearer. You're afraid of what she knows." The admiral's glow darkened. "You speak as though you understand us. You do not. Your kind is a danger to all that exists. You burn everything you touch." "Maybe," Elias said, "but we also build. We hope, we care, and that's something you'll never destroy." The transmission cut off, and another blast rocked the ship. Elias turned to Siren. "We can't win this fight. Not head-on." She looked at him with determination. "Then we run," he smiled. "Now you sound human." The ardent dawn dove into the planet's shadow, engines roaring. The crew pushed the ship to its limits, every light flickering as they escaped the blockade. Behind them, the Kareen warships followed like hunters chasing wounded prey. Siren worked beside Elias at the controls, her hands glowing as she manipulated the energy fields. "I can mask our signal," she said, "but it will take all my strength." "Do it," he said. "We'll cover you." Minutes turned into hours. Every second felt like eternity. Finally, the sensors cleared. The Kareen ships had lost them. The bridge filled with quiet relief. Crew members cheered softly. Elias turned to Siren. She was weak, her glow flickering, but her eyes were steady. "You did it," he said softly. She smiled faintly. "So did you." He wanted to tell her how much that meant. How in the middle of war and betrayal, she had reminded him what it meant to feel. But before he could, she whispered something that silenced him completely. "There is no going back now. Elias Vorn. From this moment we are both enemies of our people." He looked at her, realizing it was true. The moment he had chosen to save her, his fate had changed forever. And though he didn't say it aloud, he already knew the truth in his heart. He would face any army, any order, any universe if it meant keeping her safe. The ardent dawn glided silently through the shadow of Alaris 9. Above them, the Kareen armada gathered like a living storm, their crystal hulls reflecting the twin suns. 50 ships, too many to fight, too many to outrun forever. Captain Elias Vorn stood on the bridge, hands gripping the rail. His crew was tense, eyes flicking between the glowing planet and the fleet that could annihilate them at any moment. But he did not feel fear, not now. Not when she was beside him. Siren, still glowing faintly, moved to the console. Her bioluminescence pulsed softly as if in time with her heartbeat. "Captain," she said, voice calm but heavy with warning. "I can disable their weapons temporarily, but it will drain me completely. After that, I may not survive." Elias stared at her. "There has to be another way." She shook her head. "No, their ships are too advanced. If we try to fight, humanity dies. If I intervene, we survive at least long enough to broadcast the truth." He stepped closer, his jaw tight. "Then we do it together." She looked at him, startled. "Together?" "Yes," he said. "I've seen what you are willing to risk. I've seen what they mean to you, and I know one thing clearly. I'm not letting you do this alone." For a long moment she studied him, the soft glow of her skin filling the room with pale light. Then she nodded, a determined smile brushing her lips. "Then let us do what must be done." The bridge hummed with controlled tension as crew members worked to position the ship within the Armada's formation. Sensors blared, shields flared, and every human aboard the Ardent Dawn knew this might be their last mission. Yet they moved as one, trusting Elias, trusting each other, and trusting the faint, steady glow of the Kareen beside him. Siren placed her hands upon the control panel. Energy pulsed from her body, streaming through the ship's systems. Lights flickered, consoles overloaded, and the air vibrated as the alien technology of the Armada responded to her signal. "Hold steady," Elias shouted. "We're counting on every second you can give us." Her glow brightened to a blinding white. Sweat ran down her brow, but she did not waver. The Kareen fleet froze in space, their weapons paralyzed as their systems shut down. Elias felt the weight of the moment. Their chance to survive, their chance to save billions, all resting in her strength. "Captain, broadcast the data," she said through gritted teeth. Elias grabbed the transmitter. He fed all the evidence they had recovered, the proof of the extremists, the messages, the energy readings, into the universal channels that spanned the stellar concord. Every world could see the truth. every fleet would know humanity had not attacked. The room went silent as the last bit of data streamed across the stars. Seren slumped, exhausted. Her glow faded to a faint pulse. "It's done," she whispered. Elias rushed to her side. "No, it's not over. You're going to make it. You have to." Her hands lifted weakly, brushing his arm. "I wanted you to see," she said, voice fading, "that humans feel, even when it costs everything." Tears filled Elias's eyes. "I see it. I see it all. You're remarkable, Seren. You've saved more than our ship. You've saved hope itself." Her lips curved into a soft smile, a final glow radiating from her form. "Then remember, always feel." The ardent dawn surged forward, slipping into the atmosphere of Alaris 9. The Kareen fleet, though temporarily disabled, began to recover. But the broadcast had done its work. Across the galaxy, alien worlds witnessed the truth. Humanity had been framed. Serene's evidence, transmitted before her energy faded completely, left the extremists exposed. The Kareen armada hesitated, confusion spreading among their ranks. Orders conflicted as the broadcast revealed who had orchestrated the attack. The extremists were outnumbered by the rest of the Kareen Council, who quickly ordered a ceasefire. On the bridge of the Ardent Dawn, Elias watched the alien ships retreat, the tension slowly dissolving into relief. Yet his heart remained heavy. Seren's glow had dimmed almost entirely. She was alive, barely, but she would need time to recover, and she had risked everything. He knelt beside her, holding her hand. "You did it, Seren. You stopped a war." She looked up faintly, her eyes reflecting the stars. "I saw humanity once," she whispered, "and knew that nothing else could matter again." Elias's chest tightened. Every mission, every battle, every cold starless night seemed meaningless compared to this moment. "I feel the same," he said softly. "Everything else? It's just noise. I only know you." The crew watched quietly, understanding the bond that had formed. It was more than respect, more than friendship. Something ancient and unspoken, connection. Trust, admiration had grown between species, stronger than any protocol or law. Weeks later, the Ardent Dawn returned to Earth. The Kareen Council formally apologized for the extremist actions and opened diplomatic channels. Humanity had proven itself, not through force but through courage, resilience, and empathy. Elias never left Seren's side as she recovered. Her glow gradually returned, soft and steady. They spoke little of their feelings aloud. Words felt inadequate. Instead, they shared quiet moments, looking at Earth from orbit, discussing distant stars and reflecting on what they had learned from each other. One evening, Elias watched her silhouette against the vast window of the observation deck. "Do you think it's possible," he asked, "for our two worlds to truly understand each other?" Seren smiled, her bioluminescence flickering softly. "I think understanding is born from seeing courage and compassion where you least expect it. Humanity has shown me that, and you have shown me that too." He took her hand gently. "Then we will keep showing them. One act at a time. One choice at a time," she nodded, resting her glowing head against his shoulder. "It is enough." In the months that followed, humanity's reputation in the stellar concord transformed. Other species saw them not as reckless children of the stars, but as dreamers who could choose hope, compassion, and courage even in the face of impossible odds. The extremists who had tried to frame humanity were brought to justice, and Seren's bravery became a symbol across the galaxy. Young Kareen scholars studied her actions alongside human explorers, learning that emotion was not weakness, it was strength. Elias and Seren often visited the summit halls, not as diplomats but as witnesses to what could be achieved when hearts and minds worked together. They never forgot the danger, the fear, or the choices they had made, yet they also never forgot the truth that had saved them, that caring, feeling, and risking everything for another being could change the course of history. Years later, Elias stood on the deck of a new exploration ship, staring at the stars. Beside him, Seren glowed softly, her hands brushing against his. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked, voice quiet but steady. He shook his head. "Never. Every life, every star, every moment of fear and hope, it led me here. To you, to this. Nothing else could matter again." She smiled faintly, the light of her glow reflecting in his eyes. "Then we continue," she said. "Together." The Ardent Dawn 2, or whatever ship humanity built next, lifted from Earth carrying explorers, diplomats, and dreamers toward the unknown. The stars stretched endlessly before them, full of danger, wonder, and hope. And somewhere among those stars, two beings, one human, one Kareen, knew that courage, love, and the refusal to surrender would guide them through anything the universe could throw their way, because they had learned the greatest truth of all: to feel is to be alive. To care is to be infinite. And some bonds are stronger than even the cold void of space.